My name is Timbo. I apologize for not being able to speak Arabic. I was actually in the unfortunate position this time yesterday following Mohammed, who again could speak beautifully to you in a language that you could probably understand much better than my English. But I'm based in London. I work in product marketing, and in the next 15 minutes, I just want to give you some insight into where Google has seen some recent trends on the internet and where we believe the trends are moving forward. At Google, we're in an amazing position to see what's happening on the internet. With everyone searching, search is actually a barometer to what is happening around the world. So I'm just going to show a quick demo. Okay, that doesn't fit in there. So we have a tool called Google Trends. Does anyone know or has used this tool before? Okay, a couple of people. So I was talking to a couple of people last night to try and find out a couple of news sites that I think would be relevant to both of you. Now, who thinks Al Jazeera is more popular than Man News? In Palestine? Okay, let's have a look. So this is now showing the relative search queries for these websites. And you can see in red, the Al Jazeera website is clearly more popular than the Man News. Now this is worldwide. So now let me drill down, and we can go to the Palestinian territory. And you can see now, actually the trends swap. So this is giving you an on-the-spot tool to identify what is going on the web. And this isn't just restricted to websites and traffic to websites. You can actually do this on search terms. So again, a couple of friends, I asked for a couple of famous people that perhaps you guys might know. And again, I wanted to ask the same question. Who thinks Nancy Ajram is more popular than Amr Diab? Okay, so let's have a look. So you can see here, this shows a relative traffic to both these search terms on the internet that people are typing into Google. And I think what's very clear is that here, Amr Diab obviously released an album. You can see the peak that people started searching more. And again here, and again, potentially around here. And again, what we can do is we can drill down, and we can drill down to the Palestinian territory, or Palestine, thank you. And we can see this in a more local level. So the last thing I wanted to show you was actually just the general search terms that are happening, that you're typing in, that your friends are typing in. So again, if we go down to the Palestinian territory and search. Now, I had to check all these terms just to make sure they were safe for public viewing, and I hope they still are. But this shows on the left the top searches between 2004 and the present time. And again, recent rising searches. Now, if we look at what's happening in the last 7 days, I think what you'll find here is that Mother's Day has come up somewhere around here. And so you can see the power of this tool, what it shows, and what you can see the world is doing on the internet. So just to continue on this, I just wanted to carry on and talk about a few trends around this. So firstly, the social element of the internet. Who here has a social, signed up to a social network? I think there's more. Who here was signed up to a social network 4 years ago? 4 years ago? That's a pretty good effort. Okay, 6 years ago. Okay, maybe 1 or 2. So 16% of people's time on the internet is spent on a social network. And 5 years ago, it was 0. So this is a phenomenal change, and it has a huge impact on what people are doing. Traditionally, people used to email through specific email tools. Now people are using messaging through Facebook. Again, search is starting to happen through these social networks rather than going to specific search engines. And here's a quote from I think it's a US student that says, you're not actually dating. You're not going out with someone until you actually specifically say and put it on Facebook. But we hear a lot about Facebook, and yes, globally it has a huge number of users. But what's interesting is that on a local level, this isn't the case. And I apologize that this isn't anywhere near your regions, but in Western Europe, you can see that for each of the main countries shown here, there is often a leader that's actually bigger than Facebook. And so I think it's important to realize that even though there is global hype around something, there's also the local element that I think is very important to consider. So now I just want to talk quickly about 3 trends in the social area. Number 1 is applications and what this has done to the social networks. Facebook really led the charge here, and when they opened up applications on top of their platform, Facebook took off. And it's this reason why we had 100 developers in this same room this time yesterday actually trying to code applications for the internet, because they are able to give the local content the fun spin, something that a website by itself struggles to do. The other, and I apologize for the marketing terms, is passion tribes, we call it. So this is the fact that even though we hear about Facebook and other large social networks such as MySpace, it's actually some of these niche sites that are really taking off as well. We have social networks specifically geared around dog lovers. They upload photos of their pets, and they all comment on how cute and sweet each other's pet is. But it's huge, and this niche site is doing incredibly well. So again, I think it's important to think about, you don't always have to conquer the world. You can find a niche, and you can really nail that niche. The last thing that's happening in social is the idea of live streaming. So what are you doing right now? And I think we're seeing this especially in the Twitter phenomenon. And it's incredibly powerful to see that it doesn't now just happen in a social context, but it also happens in the news. So when there's breaking news, there was a plane that crashed on the Hudson River not that long ago. Now, it took a while for CNN to pick this story up. And literally seconds after that happened, the whole of the Twitter community knew about this before CNN or the rest of the US or the world population could hear about it. So social is important, and I just want to talk about now the element of people uniting and speaking out through the internet. The internet is a megaphone. 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't actually, it was very difficult to say something and have it heard by the world. There's a statistic that suggests that just under 50% of internet users have at one point posted a comment on a news site. And that is huge. This example is especially close to my heart. So in the UK, there's a chocolate brand, Cadbury's, and they actually stopped selling and producing this Whisper chocolate bar. Now, the internet population, including me, reunited, and we told Cadbury's quite how upsetting this made us feel. Now, it sounds trivial, but it had such an impact that Cadbury's now reinstated the Whisper bar, and I get to eat it, for my weekend treat. But that's just a simple example of the power that the internet has. And there are more serious examples, and clearly one of the most amazing examples of bottoms-up grassroots marketing and using the internet is the Obama campaign. They really encouraged people all around the world, but especially in the US, to raise money. They empowered the users. They empowered the people to campaign, and they made them be able to be vocal, and they also made them they made them be able to be sort of upstanding people. They projected these people into the campaign. So again, think about the ways that the internet is able to help you voice your opinions to the world. And now I want to quickly talk about the geographic source of information. Google's, who knows what Google's mission statement is? Google is exempt. So it's to organize all the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Now, a big component of that is to make it geographically accessible and useful. And I think it's something like, it's predicted that 50% of information in the world has some geographical element to it that can be tied to it. So this is actually a diagram that Elias from Exalt had to draw for me to get me from the hotel to the ghost building around the corner. And the point here is that because the technology right here in Palestine is not sufficient enough for him just to be able to provide me a link, he has to go on to paint and draw this himself. Now, the technology is coming, but it doesn't just have to be the companies like Google to actually make this technology and make this content, because a big part is the user-generated content. Now, I hope everyone recognizes this site, but this was a map, and we tried to find where the Grand Park Hotel was. Now, there's no listing. Grand Park Hotel has not said this is where we are, but this particular user, Salim, has actually added this content to Google Maps and has made it crawlable for anyone around the world. So again, think about being empowered to produce the content yourself to make it geographically accessible. And now starting to look ahead. This is actually an application, a phone that exists in Japan. You put it up in the air, and if you hover it over a hotel or a building, it has augmented reality built into it, and it can tell you whether the hotel has any rooms free and how much it costs. It can tell you what the history is of that historical site. And so the power of this technology moving forward is really moving to the mobile space, which is where the geographical elements really become useful. So that leads me on to the last area, which is the future is mobile. There's some pretty incredible statistics here, so I'm just going to read them out. 50% of the world is connected via mobile phones. So I think that's 3.3 billion people out of the 6.6 billion people in the world are connected via mobile phones. 85% of people claim that they don't leave their home without a mobile phone. So it's not just that they have one, it's that they have it almost all the time. And lastly, the more recent statistics is that phones are now not just becoming used for phone calls, they're being used for the internet, for the world, to do whatever you want. So there's just a couple of interesting areas here. 31% of the online music sales in 2007 was sold through the mobile phone. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a young girl from Japan, and she actually wrote a book on her mobile phone on the way to school. Every day, she wrote a few more lines, and she posted it to the web. This then became the #1 selling book in Japan in 2008, I think. And lastly, around gaming, 25% of gaming revenue, again, happens on the mobile phone. And then one more, forgot about this one, is TV. And this is one that really surprised me. 30% of TV that is being watched through the mobile phone. So these are the trends that we're seeing around the world, especially in places like Japan, where the infrastructure is really leading the technology race here. And lastly, just want to talk about the payment elements. In Japan, your mobile phone is your credit card. It is your wallet. They make payments via these phones. You carry it around. It's your one device, your connection to the world, and it's also your financial security. But it's not just in the really high-tech places. It's also in places like Kenya, where they have introduced a very basic micropayment system via a text service that allows local Kenyan people to make payments to each other via simple SMS texts. So on the one hand, we have countries like Japan who are really leading this revolution with high-tech technology. But on the other hand, there's also space in less developed countries to also make a difference using the mobile phone. So that was it. It's a short insight into the internet. I really encourage you to have a look at the tool I showed you earlier on. These trends have come through these tools that we use at Google, which are completely external and for everyone to use. And I hope this has slightly given a bit of an insight into what we've seen happening around the internet and where we think the trends are moving forward.